way that they've conscripted people into this system, this beast system, basically of control. And we talked about, basically you've been an indentured servant since you were born. You just don't realize it. A lot of it is done through word magic, through legal maritime structures, UCC, things like this. And it's, it is very confusing and complicated for people that, that are trying to familiarize themselves, and it can feel very scary to basically separate from that straw man, from that artificial person that was created for you. How do you recommend to people to start this path of separating themselves from the government?
So, I mean, I think the first thing you got to do is you got to educate yourself. And so, so my book, Government, the Biggest Scam in History, I designed it to wake up, friends, family, colleagues as to how the system works. And, one of the main things, I always say there's three pillars that have to fall to get out of the mind cult of statism, and the religion of statism. And that's one of the things that my book exposes, is that the government is sliding the idea of government to the population as a religion, but they're just not using the tool. They're just not using the name religion, but they're using all the tools and the tricks of an unethically manipulative religion or a cult to get people to, support something that is not in their interest. And so, you're going to go to they make you, instead of, the cross or the Star of David, you've got the flag. They force children to go to the church school where the teacher, the priest, is going to teach them, about the holy documents of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And they're going to, the teacher and the priest is going to teach you the hymns and have you do the common prayer of the Pledge of Allegiance and the hymns of the national anthem and the Star Spangled Banner. And they're going to take you to Mecca, Washington, D.C., in middle school, and they're going to take you into the cathedral of the Capitol that looks like the Vatican for a reason. And they're going to, take you into the temples and show you the deities, and the judges are going to wear vestments, and the military is going to go on crusades, and it's going to be, it's very, reverent and things like that. And so, once you realize they're running game on you, and when I say game, it's, because it's forcing you to go to this mandatory government school or an accredited private school that is forced to teach you the exact same thing to get their accreditation. And once they impact that into you from a small age, it's very hard to shake it. And then the other thing my book exposes is that they're reinforcing this with the media, where the media is product placing the flag at moments of high positive emotion. I've got an example. We back everything up in the book with this credit card size flash drive that we call the Liberator. And we've got some videos in there showing how the flag has been, woven hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times into just, like 12 Michael Bay movies. And we've got examples of, we've got one, I don't know if you remember the old television sign off, at the end of the programming day, how they would have the flag flying, and, they would do, the national anthem while the flag was flying at the end of each broadcast day at like 1, 2 in the morning. But they were actually weaving, and you can go, get examples from this out of our, flash drive for free at government-scam.com Liberator. But they were actually putting subliminal messages that government is God, and obey the government, and do not rebel in the 1960s, that you can slow it down today, and you can actually see the words go across the screen, that they're subliminally, adding across the screen. And so they've been running game on the population. And what I like to do is you can only be fooled by the magician until you know how the magician does the trick. And so what I'm doing with my book and with the Liberator flash drive is we're showing people how the magician does the trick, so you can't get fooled by the trick. And so the first of those 3 columns that has to fall is you've got to really understand that government is illegitimate. You can't have a moral, legitimate government. if we're on an island with, 9 other people or 8 other people, there's no way that 6 can vote and get the ability to make, us, 2 of us and the other 2 people not in the majority, pick all the coconuts while they lay back and do all the work, which is what's happening in Washington, D.C. It doesn't matter if there's 10, it doesn't work for 10 people. There's no way, through a magic document or through democracy or anything like that, where you can legitimately get the ability to rob and control other people. And so that's the first pillar that has to fall. The second pillar that has to fall is that you've got to understand a little bit about economics, and that, whether it be capital creation, the invisible hand, spontaneous order, you've got to, kind of understand how that everything you want out of government, whether it be armed protective services that they call the police, or dispute resolution that they call the court, or air traffic control, or the postal service, or roads, or whatever it is, all of that would be provided by the free market, by voluntary association, by, nonprofits, mutual aid societies, insurance companies, you name it. And so, like, you got to understand that, that everything you want government to do will be done without government. And then the final thing that somebody needs to realize is they've really got to understand that it's the government and the media working together. And all of the media, almost 98% of the media is in on it. There's an authentic, the authentic alternative media that's developing, and that's who's being censored and shadow banned, demonetized, de-indexed by these 3 to 4 dozen, internet companies that have been overfunded with unlimited capital to dominate their little corner of the information food chain. But you've got to understand that it's the government and the media working together, either controlling the information that you receive through this monopolization of the media, or controlling the information you receive by the algorithmic censorship of the DARPA internet. But like, once you get those 3 things through somebody's head, then there's no reason to support government anymore. And now you understand how the magician's doing the trick. Government's running game on you. They're controlling the information you receive to make you, trick you into thinking it's legitimate, that they get to make up rules for you and take your money. And then there's kind of like a final one, which is that, whether or not you believe, and whether or not you believe in there being a government. Okay, so whether or not you believe there should be a government or shouldn't be a government, the thing that all of us I think can get behind is that the government that exists today in Washington, D.C. has been hijacked by organized crime, and they are using it to rob and control the population in a way that is now harmful to our liberties and security. And so whether it's handing trillions of dollars to private banks through the bailouts and the stimulus, whether it's handing trillions of dollars to, military industrial complex companies for weapon systems that we don't need to fight wars based on lies and manufactured intelligence, we're getting robbed by Washington, D.C., and it is organized crime.